Update 27.2, the mainline update, is live on PC. This video continues my coverage of the update patch notes by covering the Railjack and Kuva changes and fixes. Starting with the changes to the Kuva. Players within your squad, including yourself, will now gain murmur progress when someone in the squad fails a Parazon stab. They've added new effects to a successful Valence fusion. The Kuva Codex page now has categories for your active, vanquished, converted, and traded liches. Lastly, the chance for Kuva nodes to spawn as exterminate missions has been lowered. In regards to the Kuva fixes, I will cover them at the end of the video, and there is a timestamp on your screen for that portion of the video if you are only interested in that information. Anyway, for the Railjack changes. DE has reduced the resource requirements to build your Railjack throughout the Rising Tide quest. For players who had already built their Railjack prior to the release of the update, you will get the differences between the cost returned via an inbox message, alongside 2 rush repair drones. For players who are currently in the process of building their Railjacks, when you log in, you will get the new resource requirements on the next stage and any old costs refunded to you. You'll also get a single rush repair drone. For those who have not started the research, you'll just have the updated resource requirements. No added bonus. The Chimera Prologue and Era quests can now be played via the New War Quest tab in the Codex. And if you have not played them before, you will get the weapon blueprints tied to their completion. Which does mean for the Era quest, you can get the Shadow blueprint without needing to go to Vale Proxima, going to the Anomaly, and breaking the Shard. DE have added a new cruise ship to the Vale Proxima missions under the title Exo Skuld Cruise Ship. According to the patch notes, it's a variant of an existing ship, that being the Gokstad, but it has an impenetrable shield that you'll need to figure out how to take down. A Forge All button has been added to the payload screen at the Tridock terminal. Both the intrinsic and avionic screens no longer use hold to confirm and now require you to confirm via a prompt. Any avionics that are applied to your Railjack that exceed capacity will now appear crossed out in red instead of being removed. They have added 4 seconds of invulnerability to the player when entering a cruise ship via the Archwing Slingshot. They've also added 2 seconds of invulnerability when using context actions and the Omni tool. DE has disabled host migrations during Railjack level transitions to avoid putting the new host in a completely broken state. They've also disabled the ability to enter the Archwing Slingshot while in a level transition for the same reason. They have improved the variety of Grineer fighters across the Proxima regions, with the lower level nodes spawning basic fighter types and the more difficult nodes slowly introducing elite units. Quick meleeing with the Omni tool in hand will no longer unequip the Omni tool. Railjack's armament stats will now show below the description of the item, and when viewing an unequipped armament, it will now show 2 tabs for comparison's sake. You can now scrap wreckage on any screen that will allow it. Hijacked enemy cruise ships will now take on the health and armor values of the player's Railjack. The forward artillery will now fire on release instead of auto-firing after the charge is complete, but it will fire after 3 seconds of being held. They have improved the wing cam when using the tactical map. They've increased the Railjack's energy tube material, changed the material tinting across the Railjack skins, improved the cruise ship meltdown effect so that it is more obvious from the exterior. Avionics that are not compatible with the selected grid slot will be auto-listed at the bottom and appear grayed out to avoid confusion as to why it cannot be equipped. Lastly, armaments or components that are equipped in the selected slot are now marked as equipped, with armaments or components equipped in other slots still being marked as equipped on X. For controller and mouse use with Railjacks, DE added 2 new pilot control options that will be under the options, controls, and Railjack headings. The 2 options will appear as pilot-centered crosshair mouse for mouse and keyboard, and pilot-centered crosshair controllers for, of course, controllers. The controller setting will make it so your left thumbstick moves the Railjack and the right thumbstick will move the reticle. They also increase the smooth time for non-centered reticles while piloting and using the turrets in the Railjack. As for the Railjack controller use fixes, they follow. They fixed missing bumper functionality when cycling through components and armaments categories in the Configure Railjack panel when using a controller. They fixed both the on and off state of the Railjack ability menu not getting bound to the custom ability menu keybind when using a controller. An issue where rebinding the ability menu in the Railjack tab controller options would allow you to open it with a new binding, but force you to use the default binding to close it. Now rebinding the ability menu will use the new binding to open and close it. They fixed customizing your Railjack controller controls, always showing them as their default button regardless of the changes. They fixed vector maneuver and the drift maneuver not functioning as intended, with you only boosting when using a controller. They fixed an issue where performing a dodge while piloting the Railjack would only ever cause you to lunge downwards. They fixed seeing secondary fire when piloting the Railjack after selecting the controller icon set as auto detect with a PlayStation controller. They've fixed blink not working with controller users who have never customized their controls. They've fixed custom Railjack controller bindings not applying to hijacked cruise ship turrets. The ability to endlessly descend the Railjack by holding down the controller bumpers while piloting. They fixed search and show ranked being bound to the same button when using a controller, which caused priority issues on selecting in the avionics screen. They also fixed an issue where move up and move down could not be rebound in the Railjack controller options, an excessive rise and fall sound triggering when piloting the Railjack, and a script error when equipping armaments onto your Railjack when using a controller. As for the overall Railjack fixes, DE improved performance of enemy fighter markers in the Railjack missions. They fixed Railjack clients crashing aboard the missile platform after destroying the core, a loss of functionality for clients upon loading into a Railjack mission, progression stopping bugs if a host migration occurred after the first radiator had been exposed on a pulse turbine point of interest, and then players proceeded to destroy that exposed radiator. They fixed loading into a Railjack mission from friends orbiters, leaving the client screen black, clients having no Arcwing if the Railjack mission was launched after being invited to an orbiter, falling in an endless void after using the Arcwing slingshot as a client into an exploding cruise ship and attempting to leave said ship, clients experiencing infinite loading when attempting to load into the dojo from the star chart with a host. They fixed an edge case where performing a finisher at the moment the cruise ship reached meltdown, punting you back to the Railjack in a very dead state. An edge case where using a turret or doing a finisher in a cruise ship when the Omni Tools countdown expired could leave you in a broken state and not recalling you. An inability to use certain intrinsics during a Railjack mission as the operator, clients sometimes not being able to activate Railjack battle avionics. The ability to gain Railjack flux energy for free from killing enemies with a battle avionic. They fixed the intrinsic skill tactical efficiency, not modifying the flux energy cost of using battle avionics in a Railjack mission. They fixed the intrinsic skill reflex aim, not snapping the player's targeting reticle to the nearest enemy lead if using a Railjack hit scan laser weapon. They fixed an inability to use Arcwing sprint if you were crouching or sliding as you exited the Railjack. They fixed the max rank Railjack tether avionic, not tethering up to 6 enemies as intended. More cases of the never-ending tunnel when loading into Railjack missions after 2 players selected different nodes at the same time. Missing markers for the command link when piloting or using a turret. The reticle getting stuck on the right side of the screen when you aim down your sights while piloting with a rank 10 gunnery. They fixed the Railjack turrets aiming towards the tether avionic projectile when cast, causing them to point in weird directions. Ram sled boarded enemies remaining frozen in place after casting the tactical avionic intruder stasis even after they had died. Ram sleds not getting affected by status effects, an issue where heat avionics were not being applied correctly. The description for Void Cloak in the tactical menu not displaying the correct cooldown time if the tactical rank is 7 or higher. They fixed being able to close the tactical menu with its hotkey during the recall warp, which caused further attempts to use recall warp to no longer function. Gaining maximum health and shields, power strength, and presumably any other Arcwing specific bonuses while using Titania's Razorwing mode in Railjack. They fixed projectile speeds of certain armaments causing bandwidth issues for clients, getting stuck on the alt camera angle while piloting Railjack, which also fixed the issue of losing the HUD when swapping back to piloting view after being at the alternate angle. They fixed Void Hole appearing offset if activated by a client who is piloting the Railjack, being equipped with your Parazon or completely unarmed if using the Crafting Forge in your Railjack while your Omnitool or scanner is equipped. They fixed several issues when entering the transportation tubes in the Sentient Anomaly, such as automatic weapons continuously firing while traveling in the tube, issues with staying in the tube if attempting to move around in all kinds of directions, operators in Void Mode speed running in the tube, and issues with getting stuck in the pause menu while traveling in the tube. They fixed an inability to use transference after spamming transference when trying to exit the railjack, a crash when using transference at the same time as entering the railjack slingshot, loading into the Arcwing slingshot with an arc gun active causing players to fire the arc gun instead of hurling their warframes out of the slingshot, companion pets sometimes being gigantic on the railjack, your warframe having disjointed hips when bullet jumping into the forward artillery, cases of the asteroid base being invisible in railjack unless you had geometry detail set to high. They fixed avionic and salvage pickup markers at times not showing distance values, inconsistent cruise ship meltdown timers if you had numerous cruise ships in the meltdown mode, being put into a broken state when attempting to execute a cruise ship pilot at the same time as the cruise ship enters the meltdown mode, some edge cases where players could get stuck when trying to pilot an enemy cruise ship that is in the meltdown mode, a rare case where your weapons function as unmodded when boarding an enemy cruise ship as a client. They fixed projectiles from stolen cruise ships looping around in a circle before disappearing, a script error that could occur if you executed the pilot of an enemy cruise ship just as it was exploding, the Exo Scold cruise ship not using the cruise ship marker shape, the mission objective UI appearing and overlapping the options menu when you pause the game when using a turret in the railjack or a stolen cruise ship. They fixed projectile armaments like APOC or Cryophon, ignoring the gigantic rocks in front of them and damaging the enemies anyway. They fixed a hold to revive prompt appearing outside of the railjack during a catastrophic failure, which resulted in the player being able to revive the railjack in that state from outside, like it was a warframe. They fixed various collision issues in the railjack that allowed Titania to exit the railjack while in Razorwing, missile distraction abilities like the Odonata and Elytron being ineffective against missiles that stop tracking halfway in railjack missions, and they said this notably affects the long-range Grineer cruise ship missiles. They fixed scaling issues with the Imperator Vandal's muzzle smoke effects, railjack glyphs sometimes appearing when inside the Arcwing slingshot, not seeing your custom railjack name when viewing the railjack while in Arcwing, a copy of your warframe being created after selecting the drydock as your operator and transferring back to your warframe, which also fixes issues of having a bunch of sentient Excalibur Umbras running around. More fixes were made towards broken dry docks when some players have different progression into the Rising Tide quest. They made a potential fix towards clients being unable to exit the railjack once back in the dry dock from a mission, operators taking on the color scheme of the railjack interior after exiting any of the turrets in the railjack. They fixed clients not seeing the host railjack customizations. More fixes were made towards the scrolling back to the top issue when contributing or rushing a railjack weapon or component. They've stated that now when you contribute or rush, the window will remain where the item is as to not force you to search for it again. They fixed railjack's configure UI screen overlapping with the trading window when invited and accepting to trade in dojos, which also fixes being unable to accept invites while on the intrinsics menu. They fixed an issue where a select all option was appearing in the railjack scrap menu but had no functionality. A black shadow replacing one of the wreckage icons when selecting mastery rank tabs in the railjack configure panel, wreckage having to be deselected and reselected to show available options after you had previously contributed to it. They fixed scrapping equipped reactors causing issues with re-equipping avionics that were auto-unequipped to fit back under capacity, selecting ask me later on the overcapacity wreckage prompt causing a long delay, a missing warning when attempting to trade an already equipped avionic, some cases where the grid in the railjack configure panel would show less elements than predicted, an inability to use the change loadout button functionality in the railjack navigation screen when anchored in the dry dock. They fixed rank check marks in the intrinsic details list not automatically updating after you rank them up, the new chosen colors of your railjack not saving if you go into the payload screen right after changing colors. They fixed client players' UI themed colors persisting on the screen if said player is viewing the payload, avionic, or intrinsic screen when the host launches a mission. They fixed the platinum prices of glyphs and railjack skins displaying when hovering over the already purchased railjack skin or glyph. They fixed the railjack customization UI lingering after purchasing and equipping a railjack skin. They fixed selecting the companion loadout in the railjack arsenal starting from a black screen and then moving to the companion station in the dojo. They fixed the dry dock docking clamps disappearing at certain angles when viewed from the inside of the top level of the railjack. They fixed the codex missing descriptions for the Exo Raider Carver, and Exo Raider Eviscerators. They fixed missing localization when loading into the railjack in the Rising Tide quest, and it is now properly localized to investigate coordinates on Lua. They fixed a script error as well as a case where some of the effects of the forward artillery gun in railjack lingered forever if you had started and stopped charging it very rapidly. They fixed the banners in the dry dock near the entrances not having your clan emblem. Fixes were made towards point of interest marker inconsistencies. A potential fix was made for a script error that occurred when collecting loot in a railjack point of interest, a script error with host migrations after exiting railjack, unlocalized avionics, and a couple of cases of Grineer mines being unlocalized. Lastly, to end the video, we have the Kuva Lich fixes. DE fixed clients being unable to use the escape pause menu after Parazon stabbing a Kuva Lich, the Kuva Nukor, Kuva Hind, and Kuva Brahma weapon progression showing as complete in the codex when at rank 30, instead of its true completed rank of 40. They fixed only one Kuva weapon maintaining its innate bonus damage attribute and respective Kuva Lich name when claiming multiple Kuva weapons using the Claim All button in the Foundry. According to DE, this retroactively fixes the Kuva weapons that lost our innate bonus damage by giving them back a random buff. Unfortunately, the Kuva Lich names can't be easily associated with the Kuva weapons, so the fixed weapons will now have the default Kuva name of Kuva Tonkor, Kuva Brahma, or whatever the item is. They fixed Kuva Lovelings not spawning Kuva Liches if down before a host migration and then captured after a host migration. They fixed becoming stuck on a rampart after Parazon stabbing your Kuva Lich on it. A potential fix was made for Kuva Lich's Vanquish and Convert options always showing as A and D even if you had rebinded settings. They fixed more instances where Parazon finishers were applying your melee weapons attack speed with equipped melee mods in the Kuva Lich controlled missions. Existing Kuva weapon names not being displayed when attempting to rename the weapon. They fixed an issue that could cause the Kuva Lich to slide when downed while doing a dodge. Downed Kuva Liches still proceeding to break backs in an invisible state. More fixes were made towards Kuva Liches with the Ruse ability not having the same Warframe helmet on the clones if an alternate helmet is equipped upon Lich creation. They fixed the Kuva Lich button not appearing in the UI in a rare case where a Nightwave season is not active. They fixed small effect offset issues with the Kuva Brahma when reloading. They fixed being able to bypass the cooldown between scope shots with the Kuva Kotak and Quats by scoping and unscoping between shots. They fixed an issue where Requiem mods would always appear in their defiled version when viewing them in the codex. And lastly, they fixed squad members of a player who is in the middle of selecting their Kuva Lich's fate being unable to unlock lockers. So those were the Kuva Lich and Railjack changes and fixes for update 27.2. Once again, this whole update is in parts because there is a lot of information. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. And that's not the pause button or stop recording button. Okay, this one.